So on the last video we were at Julius parking ground or day area or something like that, and then we drove down the road a bit and we got to, I forget the exact name of it, like Kanunnah Bridge or something, Kanunnah something, and it goes over the Arthur River. And so I stopped to have a fish. Saw two fish, chased my lures, but none of them really had a go at it, so I might change lure next time I go fishing. Anyway, I was just thinking, geez, this looks like a good, interesting river to kayak down with the inflatable, because I've got an inflatable kayak, so I'm in it now. And I had a look at the map, and like rivers, obviously, they're not just a straight line to the destination or the end point. They wiggle around all over the place. So I kind of get a scale that's about the width of my finger, so on like some kind of a maps. And if it's, let's say 2 kilometers is the width of my finger, I kind of just use my finger to bend around the river and to estimate how long it is. And from, anyway, that bridge to the town called, I think it's called Arthur River, I think it's about 40 k's downstream along this river. So we're kind of in the mountains now. The town Arthur River is at the coast, and so I think that's, if I'm doing about 5 k's an hour, I'm not moving at the moment because I'm not paddling, but if I can do about 5 k's an hour, that's probably best case scenario. It's probably about 4 k's an hour realistically, going at a steady pace. Should take me, well, 8 to 10 hours. And so what I've done is Parala's volunteered to be kind of like the driver and support crew. She's now driving to Arthur River. She's going to see if she can sort out like our accommodation for the night, restock our food. We've only got about 5 litres of water left in a 20-litre jerry, so she's going to sort that out. And meet me at the bridge that's at Arthur River. We just looked at the maps and there's a road going over the river, so there must be a bridge there. She's going to meet me there, and I told her best case scenario probably 8 p.m. tonight, but stay there until 12 a.m. just in case it's quite slow. And I've already had to get out of the kayak once to climb over some logs, and I don't think that'll be the first time that I have to do that. I've also had to take the rudder off the back of the kayak just very early, because going through the rapids, they're quite shallow, and I could just feel the rudder hitting against all of them, and don't want to avoid hitting rocks as much as I can in an inflatable kayak, especially near the beginning of the trip, because if this goes flat right now, I've got 2 little puncture kits, not sure how good they'll work. I've put the pump in here as well, so that if I do get a leak and I patch it up, I can re-inflate it. But yeah, a little bit sketchy this is, because it is an inflatable kayak. I have no idea about how big the rapids are down this river. Obviously if they're too big, I'm just going to get up and walk around them. I'm not going to try and be a hero, go down any big rapids in an inflatable raft or kayak. A little bit nervous actually with this, because it's unknown. I don't really know much about this river. I just looked at a map and I thought, geez, that looks like a good idea. And then when I was fishing, there were these old kind of like tour group or something were passing along the river, and someone said that you can kayak down this, that he'd never done it, but he knows that you can. So I kind of just saw that as a bit of a sign, if there are such things as signs, that, you know, it's a good opportunity to do this while Parala's here and she can drive the van there. Seems like a pretty safe river to do it down. The distance is pretty far, being about 40 k's, but I think I can do that. I'm wearing a wetsuit, bought this $20 wetsuit off Facebook Marketplace or someone. It's a good fit actually. It's got a few holes in it, but overall should do the job. In this bag here, I've got a set of dry clothes in case I don't make it there and I have to set up camp along the river or something over the night. I've got tracky pants, big jumper, second jumper, a mosquito face net, socks. I've got a lighter in there, a head torch, like a multi-tool. I've brought this along in case I see some stuff that looks like alluvial gold, I can have a quick squeeze under the water, see if I can make my millions. Yeah, that's all I've got. I've got the paddle here. I've got some sandals or thongs at my feet because my feet are quite weak at walking across all the river rocks. I find it quite painful, so wearing them makes it much more comfortable. And that's about all I've got. There's a banana and 2 apples. I plan to just drink the water if I get thirsty out the river. I know people advise against it, but I've never really been sick doing it. My tip is don't drink the surface water because that's where all the bacteria tend to sit. If you put your head under the water and you drink the water that's flowing kind of mid-level, or you filled up a cup or something from the water that's down there, in my opinion, that's the water that has the least amount of contaminants and bacteria, and you're least likely to get sick from. If you're drinking from, you know, really dirty water that's mixed up, or the surface water that kind of carries all the dead stuff along and the type of bacteria that I think that can do us some harm, that's where you're likely to get sick. But yeah, if you're drinking the water from the middle, in my opinion, you're less likely to get sick. So yeah, that's it. We'll see how we go. I'm not moving much while I'm making this video. The current's not very strong here, so I do need to paddle a lot throughout this. I will be quite tired by the end of it, assuming I get to the end. Yeah, no, this is kind of what I came to Tasmania for, was to do stuff like this, and just the opportunity presented itself, passing over the river, and we were going to that town anyway. I didn't even think of it until I was fishing that I could probably do that, and then someone happened to mention it, like on a tour crew, and then it just kind of hit. Like, he kind of said people do it, so I thought, well, can't be that bad if people do it. So yeah, here I am kayaking down the Arthur River, start of about a 40k journey. Maybe I'm 1k in now. Better get to it. I won't be videoing too much along the way unless it's really interesting, just because I am on a bit of a time schedule. It's 1:15 now. I mean, I don't really think I'm going to get there till at 8 at the very earliest, realistically probably 10 p.m. or something. And hopefully Paola gets there alright. I've passed her my insurance details, so if she ends up having an accident, which I think is actually equally as likely, if she ends up having an accident, hopefully she can sort herself out as well. So we're split up for the moment, and we will reunite hopefully tonight. If not, I've told her that if I'm not there by 12 lunchtime tomorrow, that she has to tell the police or something, because I should, even if I don't make it there tonight, assuming I'm healthy, I should be able to make it there in some form tomorrow by lunchtime. And if I don't, it's because somehow I've hurt myself or something, which can happen. So hopefully that's not the case. And yeah, I'm just going to take in all this serenity down the river. Looks like I've got some more logs coming up there. I hope there's a way through it where I don't have to get out all the time and climb over. But yeah, it's time for me to start paddling and getting on with this journey. So we'll see what happens. It's now 1:40. Just been paddling consistently since the last bit of footage. The wind, there was a bit of like a funnel for the last kilometre where the wind was blowing against me, and if I wasn't paddling I pretty much wouldn't have been moving. So just having a little rest now, because that took a fair bit of effort. I just got to be careful of all the logs. That's my main risk of puncture, I think. And the main thing that's going to cause me trouble is if I go through rapids and there's some logs, I got to make sure I don't go through them, otherwise I might get trapped under the log. Try and avoid paddling over them, because the branches are definitely capable of puncturing the kayak. And there are quite a lot of logs, as you can see. They're mostly on the sides, but in some instances they are towards the center, and I need to be quite careful of avoiding them. At the moment here it looks like a clearing. I assume it's been logged. There's actually a pump just back there that's still visible in the distance. They've got a pipe about I don't know, 20 centimeters in diameter, pumping water up. Not sure if they've got a dam or something up there. To me, it just looks like a clearing. Maybe there's some kind of a crop there, but I assume it's just logging out here. Yeah, so that's it. I'll keep paddling. Haven't really come across that many rapids. I'm considering putting back on the rudder, because it just makes it so when I paddle, the kayak stays pretty straight. Whereas right now, because I don't have that in, every paddle results in the kayak turning, and I lose. I'm not losing, but every stroke when I don't have the rudder on, a lot of the energies getting kind of put into the kayak turning rather than propelling myself forward, which the rudder helps to make sure that whatever energy I'm putting into the water results in me going in a forwards direction. So considering putting that back on, but not just yet. Once I'm definitely out of the rapids and things, I'll put that back on. But yeah, quite peaceful out here, except for that pump. It's quite noisy amongst everything else. Yeah. Here's an example of like the logs kind of blocking blocking the path, and I just had to get up. You can see my kayak just there. I just had to get up and walk around just because I couldn't see a way through, and I'm glad I did. So you can see it's pretty like easy flowing, but if I wasn't paying attention, if I kind of just dozed off for a minute and I ended up over there, the water, even though it might only be knee or waist deep, it's quite powerful when you get stuck with something in front of you. And if I got stuck against those logs just there, which blocking the whole path really would have punctured the kayak. Probably best outcome. Worst outcome is I probably got an injury trying to get out of there, and then, you know, how do I navigate across all of that while trying to maintain the kayak? And the kayak gets pushed, a lot of water pushes against the kayak too, so it gets really messy if you get stuck in those positions. So I think it's best just to avoid them, and I just got out back there and just walked around. So I'm glad I brought my sandals, because I hate walking on these kind of rocks without shoes. Just don't do it often enough. That my feet are quite it's quite painful when I do it. So to get better at it, I should practice doing it more, but I'd rather the occasional trip to toughen them up than on something like this, where I really don't want to be thinking about kind of hurting my foot when I need to be walking up on stones. So anyway, that's all that's happened. It's now 2:15. I'm feeling pretty good. Wind's blowing my way actually at the moment, so that's a good change. It's been blowing against me most of the way. We can see here that it's all cleared again, so I assume that's just logging all along the I guess the right hand side of the river as I'm going down it. Bit of grassland here. I think this was all logged previously, whereas the other side seems to be not logged, so the river must be the defining feature of what gets logged and what doesn't. So it's 3:20. I've just stopped for a moment to get out some food. Didn't bring much actually, just 2 apples and a banana. Yeah, getting a bit tired of paddling. Probably not even halfway yet, but that's just how it is. I'm just gonna go have a look in the forest behind me for, you know, a minute, just to see what it looks like. I've pulled up just here, just at a random kind of part of the river. There's some kind of a hill just there. There hasn't been too many hills next to the river, so someone would be able to figure out where this is, or plausibly where this is if they wanted to. I just want to go have a look in here, just because you know, it's not too often that people really come out to these kind of places, and what's the chances that someone else has ever walked into here to see what it looks like? So Might be the first person ever seeing this part of the forest. Might not be. But let's have a look. Oh, my feet are sliding. To see what nature looks like here that has never seen a human being before. I'm not going to walk very far. Just here. Lots of ferns. Tree there. More ferns, dead trees. Yeah, kind of what I expected. The ground's very soft. We got some cool kind of growth happening up there on that tree. Birds in the distance. And just dense forest through there, which looks like it'll be similar to what I'm looking at right now. Alright. So, potentially forest that will only ever be seen by myself and anyone watching this video. I'm going back to the water now, going to keep kayaking, and hopefully I arrive at 8. But I don't think I'm going at 5k's an hour, to be honest. Every now and again go through a section of the river where the wind's quite strong against the way I'm paddling, and it's quite, I have to paddle reasonably fast through those areas, otherwise you just don't move. The current doesn't push you because the force of the wind blowing you back the other way is kind of equal and opposite in magnitude and direction. So yeah, I'll keep going along. There's been a few kind of gentle rapids, nothing extreme, which is good. Don't really want anything extreme on an inflatable kayak. But yeah, it's been nice so far. Just getting a bit fatigued, especially in my abs, because when you paddle on a kayak, it's every paddle your abs are like kind of contracting to make sure that your pull actually has some effect. And my shoulders are getting quite sore as well from holding my arms up, doing that rotating kind of movement that you need to kayak. So getting a bit fatigued, but that was always going to be a part of the deal. Nothing's really of concern, just got to keep pushing through it now. The banks have been quite kind of interesting. You can see all of these like pebbles that kind of get squished over time, and they're kind of just glued into the side of the riverbanks in like layers. So that's been kind of interesting to see. That's been most of the kind of rock formations that I've been passing through. Above that layer of the kind of pebbles being glued together, looks kind of just like a standard kind of dirt layer or clay that's on top of it. I haven't seen anything that looks like gold. And I've had a look at Tassie's map for where alluvial gold and mines and stuff have been, and there's been nothing on this part of the river, so I doubt I'm going to be the first to find anything. But it's always kind of like winning the lotto, looking for gold. Like, it's out there somewhere along this river. There would be a few chunks of gold, but chances are of finding them are quite slim. So I'll keep my eye. Hopefully the sun stays out as it's coming out now. It was a bit cloudy and a few little raindrops before. We'll see what happens with the rest of the day. I'm just having a bit of a rest at the moment. It's 5:45. Very sore. My back and my abs are very sore and stiff, and I've been putting off having a break for about the last hour, but I need to stand up and stretch my hip flexors out, give the back a bit of a twist. Gets a bit uncomfy sitting in this kayak the whole time. So just a couple more minutes and then I'll head off again, because I do think I've been making a good pace, and I'm optimistic I'll be there at the end at 8 PM, assuming I guessed correctly that it's about 40k's from the start to finish, and I've been going at about 5 kilometers an hour. That's me being optimistic. Being realistic, probably won't get there till 10 PM. So just having a quick break now to make sure I'm in good condition My pace has definitely slowed up a bit in the last 90 minutes. Paddling not as strongly anymore as I was the first few hours. Yeah, just trying to preserve myself to make sure I get to the end. And if anything happens, I'm not stuffed at that exact moment that I can't respond to it. It's important to be timely, but it's also important that at any moment when something could happen, that you have the, I guess, the mental readiness as well as the physical ability to deal with it. So definitely going a bit slower at the moment. I have noticed, because this is a bit of a geology trip for me, just thinking about rocks and stuff while I'm traveling around in Tassie. The rocks have definitely changed as I've gone down the river. Where I started, the rocks were about like fist-sized. Well, basically the bank of the river consisted of like maybe 2 meters of like just kind of like soil and clay, and then there was like a distinct layer of like fist-sized rocks, kind of like glued together in some kind of like a brown colored dirt. And that was probably the first half of the trip, so I don't know, first 15 k's or something. And then there started to be like that what they say cause those sinkholes, like that limestone or whatever it is layer that dissolves below, and sometimes penetrating through the fist-sized rocks was like this white colored kind of rock, and it looked like it mostly dissolved in the river as the river kind of flowed through it. So I'm guessing that was that layer that they were talking about that sits below kind of the earth and that dissolves in the water, and that caused all those sinkholes. And then now, as we've gone down even further, whether this layer of rock here is underneath all of that, or if we're just now in a different section, we've got this kind of like, you can see it's got like all these horizontal lines in it, so it's kind of like being compressed. So I guess this would be metamorphic rock. Although earlier on, when this stuff first started to appear, it did have the appearance of the rocks that were down near the beach with the more rectangular type shapes. So I'm not sure if all of this type of stone is the metamorphic, or if perhaps further back up there was some igneous type of this rock too. Not really sure, but I have noticed that as I've gone down, you could see like layers in the bank of the river, and the layers have now changed, and now where I am is mostly this kind of rock. There's no more of like, well, they're still in the water, like the fist-sized pebbles and stuff. Like you can see some pebbles and things there, but they're not like they were before. And there's definitely not that white kind of rock anymore either, which I didn't film on this because I was trying to just paddle as much as I could. But yeah, there has been a change in the rocks, and I guess what's happened is, if you imagine like layers, and when you go down a river, you kind of start near the top layer, and then as you get to the ocean, assuming the layers are all like horizontal with like the center of the earth, as you get towards the ocean, the mouth of the river towards the ocean, you would then go down through those different layers. But of course they're all tilted and all over the place, so it's very difficult to just assume that that's the case. But they have been different, which that's been kind of interesting. In terms of the landscape, it's mostly been the same the whole trip, just kind of dense vegetation. The logging stuff stopped way back. Both sides of the river now have been full bush. Still lots of ferns. I can still see some of the tree ferns. I think there's more eucalyptus trees now than before, so I'd say that that's a eucalyptus tree. Whereas earlier in the journey it was more of those leechwood trees, if that's what they were called. But now it's mostly eucalypts with some ferns underneath, and also some other medium-sized trees that I don't know what they are. but we've gone past that type of vegetation where it's just fern, understory, and those big, if they were called leechwood trees, kind of stealing all the sunlight in the upper stories. So that's it. I'm gonna keep paddling. Hopeful I'll get there at 8 PM. No idea. I could probably check on my map. It might show me where I am, but it might make me depressed if I look at it. So I'd rather just kind of keep paddling and not know. I might check at 8 PM just so I can see if it's worth, if I'm actually going to get there at 10 or 12, or if I have to wait till the next day. But I think I've been going at probably 4 k's an hour, but I'm going to hope that I've been going at 5. And then I'm going to hope that I assumed correctly that it's a 40k journey, and then therefore I'll be there in 8 or 10 hours. But we'll see. That's the end of it. Anyway, that's where I'm going. We'll see what I post next. So there was a little bit of drama. I hope I'm getting towards the end now. It's 7 PM. I just went down probably the biggest rapids so far. They're not really that big, but the kayak's pretty unstable when you get hit with a rock or something from the side. It just flips over. So I've just fallen in. I thought I lost my paddle, which was gonna be not good because I would have had to just be swimming next to the kayak, but it actually must have got stuck up at the rapids and it's just floated down. I did see one of my thongs has gone further downstream, so I've only got one thong at the moment. Hopefully that's stuck against the bank down there somewhere, but I'll show you the rapids anyway. So I'm just standing here, like it's not really that much, but I just went down that. It's probably the biggest rapid that there's been, and I kind of try not to lose my kayak. I kind of went down there, and then I ended up hitting that rock just there, and then it kind of just flipped over, and I was really worried about my phone because it's just been sitting. I've got it wrapped in like 2 kind of plastic bags. I better zoom out. But it was just sitting under this net because I wasn't expecting to fall. And luckily it was still there because the kayak was upside down. Nothing else has fallen out. Now I've got another little rapid just here to do as well. So that was close to losing my phone, and I got kind of lucky that the paddle floated down after me and I just caught it. Could be a sign that the rapids are getting bigger, and in that case I might actually put my phone in that green bag that you've just seen, just so it doesn't fall out. I don't want to lose it. That would be probably one of the worst things I could lose here, because I might start getting reception soon, and if something happened then I could just call someone. So yeah, it's no good without a phone. So anyway, that was probably the most exciting thing that's happened. It was getting pretty boring, to be honest. Just lots of paddling. Again, I was getting pretty tired, and I just kind of like locked in with the paddling. I was going really fast actually for quite a while, so I'm hoping I've made up a good amount of distance. But yeah, I wasn't really expecting to fall just then, so I better switch back on a bit. Got kind of lucky that my phone didn't fall out and the paddle just happened to float down after me. Yeah, need to be a bit more careful with that coming up, because I could see coming down from afar that it was the water level was quite a bit lower down there, but it wasn't really till I got to the edge that I saw. Well, I wasn't really worried about it, to be honest, but it's just I hit that rock at the end, and then because I hit it on the side, it just kind of flipped the kayak over. Anyway, try not to lose it again now. That's what happened. It's just after 7. I'm hoping I'll get there in an hour. I've been paddling pretty hard, but yeah, I need to be a bit careful as well to make sure nothing goes wrong. So got a little lucky on that one. So it's a bit windy at the moment. I'll just talk a bit louder than usual. This is the kind of like the final video of the kayaking kind of vlog I was making. I didn't film like the last 6 hours of it because I was so tired and it was dark. I didn't actually end up arriving to what was called the Arthur River town until about 12 AM. So I think the last video I made was after the rapids, and I fell out and almost almost lost my phone. After that, I fell out again on rapids that were like not as intense, but there was like a log kind of going across them, and I tried to avoid the log, but I kind of just was tired and ended up just getting pushed into the log, and then it flipped it again, and I actually lost my shoes, my thongs that I had. So sorry mum, who bought me those shoes for Christmas, and I don't get them anymore. I'm just going to show you this spider. So can I focus on it, or it's moving around too much? No. So after that second fall, I was kayaking quite hard. Also lots of ants or something here. I was kayaking quite hard for hours, just thinking I'd get there by like 9 PM or something. And then at 9 PM I actually got to like where two rivers merged. Actually these spiders are everywhere in here. I got to where two rivers merged, and I was like, oh, I remember looking at that on the map, and I had to look again. And I was still ages away, still had like 10 Ks to go. So I just kind of got in a zone and just paddled, and I kept laying back and looking up. Ended up getting, it was pretty dark by like 9. For about 2 hours I was paddling like in complete darkness, because I had a head torch which I put on, but all that really did was light up my kayak, and I couldn't really see the water in front of me because I was having problems avoiding like logs and stuff, because I couldn't really see them until I was at them. So I ended up just kind of like, either side of me was mountains. Sorry, these spiders are kind of interesting. Either side of me was like mountains, and then you kind of get the light reflecting from the sky through the middle of like the gap. So you kind of just end up following like the reflection, and that more or less keeps you at the center of the river. And then I've never really appreciated the moon before, but the moon, I think it was a waning gibbous moon, came up maybe about 10 PM. And it made it much easier to see while kayaking, and you didn't really hear much while you're paddling, and kind of just, you know, I was pretty tired by that stage. All I'd eaten was a banana and 2 apples. But when I stopped to have a rest, I'd just lay back and look up and focus on not falling in from being too tired. And you could hear a lot of like movements in the bushes around you, a lot of like strange noises I'd never heard before. So I'm guessing they were quolls, maybe Tasmanian devils. Heard some kind of owls and stuff. So it was pretty interesting. Very relieved when I saw the bridge at Arthur River that I'd finally made it around 12 AM. Got to the van, woke Paola up. She helped make me a sandwich and a cup of tea. I was pretty cold when I got out of the wetsuit. I went and jumped in the river again quickly. Because my upper body probably stunk, because it didn't really get wet. It would have just been sweaty. Just going to show you where I'm at now. So I'm currently driving from Arthur River to a town called Waratah, and it's along this dirt road where you can just see a car there in the distance. Very dusty. The van's getting a bit of dust in it. So I've just walked from the van, which is over there, to here, because I saw heaps of these kind of white rocks along here, and they looked like quartz to me. And the stuff I was reading about gold is you usually find it where quartz are, but there's no sparkles in this, so I guess there's no gold particles in it, is what that means. Anyway, I'll talk about this again. But yeah, got back to the van, had some food, got in some warm clothes, and then just, yeah, went to sleep. Slept by the river. We got up about 7, packed the kayak up. Then what happened? I was pretty exhausted today, actually. My upper body must have done about 40,000 bloody paddles, one for every meter of that trip. I think it was about 40 k's, maybe even more, because it's pretty windy, the river. Lots of just going up north and south, when really I just wanted to be going west. Yeah, it got quite boring really after a few hours. Don't know if I needed to do 40 k's. It kind of was just the same thing over and over again. Lots of trees and ferns, water, and I was quite tired by the end of it to really appreciate it. It was good doing it at night, just to see a different aspect of it. A little bit of fear, because I didn't want to fall in and have to try and struggle back in the kayak. And especially as it got towards Arthur River, you could definitely see like well, you can't see the salinity of the water, but the shrubs and stuff on the side, you can kind of get an idea that you're entering that, forget the name of the water, that's like a mixture of fresh water and salt water. And I hear stuff about bull sharks every now and again. They can go in that kind of semi salt water, and I didn't want to fall in at night. I don't know what's in there at night. Anyway, it didn't fall in. It was really difficult from the stage where the two rivers merged as well, because there was no current. It was just like, if I didn't paddle, I basically didn't move anywhere. So I had to paddle like every meter that I traveled, which made it quite exhausting and a bit demoralizing when I got there. And I still saw I had about 10 k's to go, and I'd already been paddling for 8 hours. Glad it's done. Won't be doing that again. I wouldn't really recommend it in an inflatable kayak. Very risky. Lots could have gone wrong. If I didn't get my paddles back when they fell, that would have been a disaster. If I had got a puncture and couldn't have repaired it, that would have been a bit of a disaster. If it like started raining or got really windy and the wind was blowing against the way I was paddling, that would have been a bit of a disaster. If I hurt myself, that would have been a disaster. Yeah, it wasn't the smartest thing, but finished it. Learned a bit about how the rocks change as you go down a river. Heard some interesting noises at night. Animals going down to the bank of the river. I couldn't really see any of them with the head torch. It wasn't powerful enough to see about the 20-meter distance to the bank, and they were probably under the bushes and stuff anyway, so couldn't really see them. But did hear some interesting noises. Got to appreciate the stars a bit at night, and the light that the moon gives when you don't have any artificial light, how helpful that can be. Yeah, it was interesting experience. Wouldn't recommend it, but it's been done, and now I can look forward to other parts of this trip. So I'll go to where we are now. This can kind of be the start of the next video. Like I said, we're between Arthur River and Waratah. All this region here, I think it had a bushfire pass through last year, and you can see all the grasses growing back. Not many of the trees have, but we've got some larger kind of grasses growing back there amongst whatever this plant was that got burnt out. It kind of provides like a home for whether this is the same plant kind of regenerating or new seeds growing from this plant. I don't really know. I suspect it's the same plant where some cells don't die in it further, like on the inside of the outside burnt bit, and then somehow those cells, they've got enough kind of energy stored in them that they would regenerate after fires. We've got whatever these are coming back. That's one type. There's actually a different type just here, different leaf structure, so whatever that is. We've got another type just here actually coming back. So life comes back pretty quick. I think this fire was about a year ago, maybe less actually. A couple of trees didn't get burnt, that one didn't get burnt too much. Most of that hill got burnt. But you can see, I think it's the eucalyptus trees. A lot of them, when they get burnt, they've got this ability to like kind of regrow leaves just from the trunks. I guess the internal cells, if they don't get killed, they can kind of, what's it called, when they change their cell type into something else, and they can form leaf structures even though they were like a trunk structure. So yeah, life comes back. It looks quite good. You can really see the shape of the hills. You can see the rocks that kind of make the hills. Didn't really, while I was filming, I didn't really think about what these are. I don't think that's quartz. Could be. Maybe it is. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to pretend I do. One day I'll figure out what all this stuff means. Maybe I'll be a geologist one day. I think just when you look at a rock and you just see it's a rock and it's not living, it doesn't really do anything, makes geology seem quite boring, and that's kind of what you get taught at school. You get given some rocks and you're told that they're igneous, metamorphic and sedimentary. But I think when you think about the distribution of the rocks on Earth and how they change through time, how just going down that river, seeing how you can kind of see the different geology as you go down through different layers, that's actually kind of interesting. And then when you think about the value of it has for society, all the different I guess elements we can extract from rocks and the things we can do with that, and the role it's had in kind of creating the modern world, I think that to me is what makes geology quite interesting and something I think I would like to learn more about. So I'm just going to walk back to the van now. When we get to Waratah, we're going to try and stay at a caravan park today, and maybe even tomorrow night. I read on a review that there's a lake there with fish in it, and I haven't caught a fish yet, so I'd like to catch a fish. Also near Waratah, there's like a free fossicking kind of place. It's an old mine that's no longer operational, and they've got lots of gems and stuff there that you can find. So I'm planning to use kind of the big hammer I've got and the chisels to hopefully find some kind of gems. There's also a waterfall there called Philosopher Falls, I think, where a girl went missing about 2 years ago, and only a few weeks ago they've finally found her remains. So that might be kind of interesting too. She probably got lost because some of these tracks, they're hard to follow, and if it was foggy or rainy or something, if she walked the wrong way for 50 meters, and then maybe she thought she was walking back but she actually took like a different route, then she's lost, and then yeah, you can't get found. So we'll go check that out. There might be some other waterfalls too, so should be quite interesting. I think this is like day 5 of being in Tassie. Already done a huge amount of stuff. I've loved it. Love being out here in nature, not many people everywhere. Kind of do what you want to an extent. Just appreciate the world that's existed before humans touched it. And yeah, that there's things going on outside of our society and outside of our cities that are not everlasting, nothing's forever, but of time spans much longer than ours, and in a world where they're not yet affected by all the things that trouble us in our day-to-day. We're so busy trying to be productive every minute of every day, but out here time moves really slow, and it's good to see that, and to realize that you don't have to live in that reality of being rushed and feeling guilty if you're not being productive. Every plant out here is just doing its own thing. Every animal is just doing its own thing. Yet we have this kind of guilt inbuilt into us in the way our society is structured, that we need to be very productive and create more of an output than what we consume, and it can get a bit much. So it's really nice to be out here and just to see things which aren't influenced by our culture and our the norms that we have in society. One more thing I want to show, which is kind of interesting, there's all of these like mounds out here, if we call them that. To me it looks like some kind of a crab or a yabby. I'd say like some kind of a yabby that lives in all of these. Got all this mud dug out, quite a large hole to be an ant, and I don't really see many ants moving around. The soil is quite soft, so I guess this is usually quite wet and damp during most of the year. It's February now, so it's kind of like one of the driest times of the year. But yeah, they're everywhere. And then also you've got all of these small burnt sticks, and on every like 1 in 5 of them you get these big nasty looking spiders. Not super big, but I can't really focus on it. Maybe if I put a bit closer. Oh, did that touch my phone? Yeah, I can't focus on it, but there's these big spiders spread out across all of these sticks that I need to be careful of not walking into them. Yeah, so that's what's happened since my last kayaking video. I didn't really want to drop my phone. My hands were getting a bit wet. My phone, the plastic bags I had my phone in, they were actually getting like water on the inside of it, so I was a bit worried about my phone getting damaged. So the spiders have blocked my path. Ooh, that's a big one. So yeah, I didn't film the rest of that trip, and I was getting a bit tired and lethargic, so I was just trying to keep it simple and not make any more mistakes, and just make sure I got to the destination. Oh, almost walked through a spider web. I think I'm trapped. Don't know how I get through these ones. Yep, so this will probably be the end of that video, and then the next part of the trip I'll make some more.